Welcome to the Quilt in the Hoop Spring 2017 Mystery Quilt Sew-Along. This is the first of 4 videos that will guide you step by step through constructing a 16-block quilt with your embroidery machine. Before we begin, let's review what you will need to participate. First is an iPad with the Quilt in the Hoop app available from the Apple App Store. You'll need 3 fat quarters of coordinating fabrics, 1 dark, 1 medium, and 1 light. If you've never cut fabric for a quilt before, you might want to get a bit more of the light fabric. There's no margin of error as the pieces will use the entire fat quarter. Press and start your fabrics and cut them using the chart in the PDF you downloaded from the Quilt in the Hoop Facebook page. You'll also need 1/8 yard of fabric for the border, a 24-inch square of fabric for backing, and a 24-inch square of batting. Since we're using 4.5-inch blocks, any embroidery machine that has a hoop of 5x5 or larger will work. You'll need 16 pieces of tearaway, washaway, or lightweight mesh stabilizer to fit the hoop you're using. If you haven't used the Quilt in the Hoop app before, you may want to put your chosen fabrics into the app. Instructions on how to do this are available by tapping the Library button at the bottom of the app, then Contents at the top, and finally tapping the Adding to the Fabric Stash topic. Adding your fabrics is optional, and you can still follow these instructions if you want to add the fabrics later. Once again, welcome, and thanks for participating. Now, let's get started. Open the Quilt in the Hoop app. Tap the Quilts icon to view quilts that have been saved. Touch the plus to start a new quilt. We will title the quilt Mystery Quilt. For this project, we'll choose the small size. This creates a 4.5-inch finished block. Select the number of blocks for the width and height. We'll use 4 for both. If Edit is not highlighted, tap it. Then tap the first block. Scroll through the basic blocks to number 25. The block can be rotated, flipped horizontally or vertically. We'll use it without rotating or flipping. The fabrics displayed are initially sent to samples, so we'll replace them. If you haven't put your fabrics in the app yet, tap the Color Palette option to choose colors that are close to what you're using. Tap Piece 1. Tap the fabric you've chosen as the medium fabric for the quilt to assign it to this piece. Pieces 2 and 3 will use the light fabric. Use your light fabric for both of these. I'm using the color palette to select white. Note that now the 2 fabric selections are at the beginning and have red boxes around them. This makes it easy to use the same fabrics in another block. Touch Done. Tap Copy, and then tap the block you just edited. This is now displayed in the Paste Block window. Tap each of the other 3 corners to paste this block. Tap Rotate. Then tap the blocks as needed to rotate the green square towards the center. Tap Template and any of the 4 blocks. The template displayed shows the block in the 3 ways it can be oriented. We'll use the normal orientation. Fabric requirements are given in inches or centimeters. You can print this page or save it to one of the choices. I like to print the template and then write the fabric color in each section to keep from getting mixed up. Tap Fabrics. Only the 4 blocks we have edited will show in the preview. Touch the green fabric. This opens the fabrics or color palette. Select a new fabric and all the pieces that use that fabric will be changed. If you use the color palette to assign your fabrics initially, this is an easy way to replace them with fabrics from your stash. Tap Done. Choose to save the new choice if you've made changes. This returns to the quilt editing page with the new fabrics. Tap Preview to view the quilt so far. Tap Sew, then any of the 4 blocks. If your iPad is using iOS 10 or later, you will see this display. Earlier versions will display a menu asking you how do you want to save the design. If that happens, choose the option to open in another app. If you have a Janome 15000, the AccuEdit app is the easiest way to transfer the design. The program opens with the last design on the screen as well as the new one. Tap Create New Design to delete everything on the screen. Open the Quilt in the Hoop app again. It will open at the same place. Click the block and AccuEdit. Now there's just the new design on the screen. Tap the sewing machine icon and the 15,000 and done. Tap Send and the design appears on the Ready to Sew screen on your machine. If you don't have this capability, there are several other choices. One of the easiest is to email it to yourself. Then just drag and drop the design attachment onto a USB drive that can be plugged into the machine. Tap Save to save this layout in My Quilts. Note, this design has 6 colors listed. We'll only use one thread. The color changes are just there to create color stops. Hoop the stabilizer of your choice. Attach the hoop to the machine and stitch the first color, which is black. This will stitch the fabric placement map for the design. For this video, I slid colored paper under the hoop to make the lines more visible. You don't need to do that. Lay the fabrics on the stitched map to see the approximate block. Place the first fabric right side up over section number 1. Make sure it covers the inside lines by 1/4 inch. Stitch the next color. This is a positioning line, as are all green color stops. Place fabric number 2 on top of fabric number 1 right side down. The raw edges should be about 1/4 inch from the positioning stitching line. Stitch this color stop. All red color stops are actual stitching lines. Open the new fabric and press either with your fingers or a wooden pressing tool. Stitch the next positioning line. Add the next fabric right side down with the raw edge about 1/4 inch from the positioning line. Open and press. The last blue stitching line is the actual finished size. The squares will be joined matching this line. An option would be to use wash-away thread for this last stitching. This eliminates any chance for stitching to show in the finished project. I left the blue thread in so it would show up on the video. Remove from the hoop. Remove wash away or tear away stabilizer. If you used lightweight mesh, just leave it in. Place the 1/4 inch line on a ruler over the stitching line and trim. The blocks will be 5 inches square. Starch and press. Repeat 3 more times. Wow! You've now completed the first 4 blocks of the mystery quilt. Please send us your feedback, and thanks for sewing along.